The pilot survey included 851 adult participants, most of whom were associated with the University of Turku. After refining the initial scale, the study was expanded to a more representative national sample of 5,000 participants, distributed via Helsingin Sanomat, Finland's largest newspaper. In the end, their final critical social justice attitude scale identified 7 truisms of woke people. If white people have on average a higher level of income than black people, it is because of racism. University reading lists should include fewer white or European authors. Microaggressions should be challenged often and actively. Trans women who compete with women in sports are not helping women's rights. Reverse scored. We don't need to talk more about the color of people's skin. A white person cannot understand how a black person feels equally well as another black person. A member of a privileged group can adopt features or cultural elements of a less privileged group. Reverse scored. Woman sitting on floor covering face with hands in despair. Marco. Stock.adobe.com. The gender divide was probably most surprising to me. Lottinen told SciPost of Finnish attitudes. 3 out of 5 women view woke ideas positively, but only 1 out of 7 men. This was especially true of women in fields such as social sciences, education, and humanities. By contrast, participants who worked in STEM were more likely to critique social justice efforts associated with being woke. However, the most concerning finding was the relationship between mental health and agreement with the scale. Specifically, researchers found a high prevalence of anxiety and depression in people who believe the statement, if white people have on average a higher income than black people, it is because of racism. More broadly, they found that those who identified as left-wing were most likely to report lower mental well-being. Lottinen warned against extrapolating their findings to international audiences just yet, particularly across Western nations. The studies were quite robust, with a sample size above 5,000 and good psychometric properties, Lottinen said. However, the scale would need to be validated in North American samples in order to know how these attitudes manifest there. I encourage colleagues in the United States to study the prevalence of these attitudes in the country where they originate from.